Hey folks, Ty here. I just want to talk through the Alchemist's Field Vials. TLDR, if you don't watch this whole video, they only take one action to use, which makes playing an Alchemist feel a whole lot better. So I'm going to talk through the intersection of rules that make it possible to use a Field Vial with just one action, and some of the different ways to rationalize or think about this. Afterwards, we'll see a small handcrafted scenario for each of the subclasses that kind of demonstrates what this means in actual play. So why am I making this video? And I think, unfortunately, the rules that make what is a core feature of the Alchemist usable are not clear, and they kind of require reading them in several different places. I see this pop up basically anytime the Alchemist gets discussed online or in my actual games. And it makes what's already the most complex class in the game harder to play and less fun for everyone. And I also see a lot of homebrew fixes that folks use to try and work around this, and sometimes they're just reflavoring of something that alchemists can already do today with their field vials with no need to convince your GM. So my hope is just that this video will help clear up some confusion and maybe be a reference for other GMs and alchemists to use and make everyone happier with what I think is already one of the most fun classes in the game. So let's go over some class features and their toolkits. So I've grabbed the verbatim text for the Alchemist's versatile vials and their research field and the toolkit, and I put them up on the screen. Now, versatile vials are very specific about how they can be used, which I've highlighted in bold, and as well as where they're stored. And once again, your research field also goes out of its way to specify that it modifies how you can use your versatile vials. So at this point, I think most folks go on to read just the rules of quick alchemy, and they deduce that if they're going to use a versatile vial, well, quick alchemy at least will let them turn it into something more powerful. They're going to have to spend that action to get one of them anyways. Like, for example, why should a Chirugeon waste time retrieving a vial when they could just quick alchemy an elixir of life for more healing for that one action anyways? And this is where the Alchemist's toolkit comes into play, which very clearly states that if you draw a vial as part from your toolkit, well, that's a part of the action that uses it. So just like with a bow and arrow, you don't have to spend an action to interact to draw an arrow before you go ahead and shoot the bow. It's just a part of the action that is using it. So lo and behold, if you have a versatile vial stored in your toolkit, you can just draw it before you go ahead and use it and enjoy that glorious single action economy. But if you're not convinced, let's look at it from a couple of different other angles. What are versatile vials if you don't use quick alchemy and just use them as they are? Well, they're useful while inert. If you're not spending that extra action, you're limited by the default usage of the vial as well as that of your research field. Any alchemist can throw it as a bomb, although bombers get to switch up the damage type. Chirugeons can heal people with their vials, either via someone physically drinking it or getting it chucked at their head Baldur's Gate 3 style, and a mutagenist can suppress the drawback of a mutagen that they're actively under the effects of, whereas a toxicologist can apply it as a very simple poison to a weapon. Toxicologist gets an asterisk because there's a limitation that the poison only lasts until the end of their current turn. So you can't pre-buff your allies with it. But an alchemist can do any of these actions by using the versatile vial from their toolkit, or they also just exist and can be used in other ways. Say you're up against a creature with weakness to acid, you could hand out your versatile vials to your allies for them to throw as bombs to go ahead and proc that weakness. Or you're a Chirugeon and you want an ally that's going to be going somewhere far away to have some pinch healing. Well, technically they can just grab one of your versatile vials and hang on to it in case they need it for, an hour from now while they're out scouting that dungeon and they just need a quick pick-me-up. And this also brings up the point that, while versatile vials can be stored in your Alchemist toolkit for no extra bulk and that sweet one action compression, technically you can put them anywhere you want. Your allies can carry them, or you could even put them in a backpack instead of your toolkit. And you probably don't want to do this. It's strictly worse than putting them in your toolkit in most cases. But it's an important distinction that clarifies some things later on with the Quick Bomber feat. Or maybe you really need to carry some other toolkits and just don't have space for your Alchemist toolkit, as each character is limited to wearing just 2 bulk worth of toolkits. If you really need to be wearing a repair toolkit and the healer's toolkit for some reason, well, you could put your versatile vial somewhere else. It's suboptimal, but possible. And we'll come back to this in a bit. Let's go back to looking at the resource and action usage of these versatile vials. I really like that there is a tactical decision trade-off with your versatile vials. On your turn, you have the choice of either spending a versatile vial and an action to use quick alchemy. This gets you any item you have the alchemical formula for, and usually you're going to go ahead and use a second action to go ahead and use it. Some items actually require more than one action to use, so it could be all three actions. And of course, if you're a quick bomber, you can kind of cheat and just do it all for one action. This lets you create the perfect item for the situation, and is almost like a wizard being able to cast any spell in their spell book. And this is kind of, I think, the reason why most people want to try Alchemist in the first place. And quick alchemy is awesome, really no need to change it. But there are scenarios where you really can't afford that extra action. Maybe you really need to move out of an area of effect, or you have to get to an ally, or you have to get up to the big bad, or something like that. You still have the option you can still spend that versatile vial and just go ahead and use it as is. Maybe you just need that little bit of extra damage from throwing it as a bomb, or that little extra healing. Whatever your bread and butter activity is for your research field, you can go ahead and use that in an action efficient way. But you still need to have a versatile vial that you're actually grabbing and using and expending, and you're not going to get that versatile vial back. And there will be times where, maybe the fight has gone on for so many rounds, or you just haven't had time to recharge between encounters, that you want to be able to do something. You don't have any vials, well, that's when you go fall back to good old quick vial. It combines the worst of both options. You have that one action overhead, and you're only allowed to do what your research field allows you to do, but you don't have to spend any versatile vials. And at level 17, even that limitation goes away. Now, this is only a decision you have to make if you're actually using a versatile vial on your turn. You still have your suite of pre-made items from Advanced Alchemy that you can pull out some tricks to use more effectively in combat. You can use a retrieval belt to put that mutagen into your hands for free, or your familiar can go ahead and deliver that elixir of life to an ally without you having to spend an action to move to them. Or if you're, wanting to add some oomph to your weapons, you can swiftly poison weapon using the poison weapon feat from, say, the rogue archetype. Let's also talk about Quick Bomber here, which sometimes is listed as a feat tax that all alchemists should take, and sometimes is even used as a counter-argument to one's ability to pull a versatile vial out of an alchemist toolkit as part of an action that uses it. So Quick Bomber specifically mentions the ability to draw a versatile vial in the same action that you use to then go ahead and strike with the vial. If this is specified within a feat, then wouldn't that mean that this feat is the only way to get that one action compression? No, that's a misconception. Notice that the Quick Bomber feat doesn't mention drawing it out of your Alchemist toolkit. This feat lets you draw a versatile vial and throw it for one action, even if it's not stored in your toolkit. So if we go back to the example before, this alchemist that has a versatile vial stored in a satchel on their side, if they have the Quick Bomber feat, can one action grab that vial and throw it. Whereas any other alchemist that has their versatile vials in their toolkit can do the same thing. I believe this is written this way because there's some distinction with a versatile vial can be used as a bomb, but is not a bomb, and they just were covering their bases with still being able to quick draw with it in case you've moved things around. There's also some complexity around whether or not you can quick vial with Quick Bomber that we'll talk about in a bit. But first, let's talk about a different class feature that every alchemist gets at level 17, and I don't see talked about very often. Abundant Vials gives you a permanent extra action in your turn that you can only use to create a quick vial, which you could then spend your single action to throw or use your research field benefit with. So notice that this is called Abundant Vials, not Quickened Vials. So let's pretend that alchemists couldn't actually use their toolkit in the way that I've been saying that they can, and they had to do one action to draw, one action to throw or use or whatever. Wouldn't this level 17 class feature would then be giving them that free quickened action be called something more like Quickened Vials? I think effectively this class feature isn't about action compression. It's just resource usage elimination, because now you can do your bread and butter activity without ever spending versatile vials. Your field vial is always there and is always easy and swift to use. And I think this is really a great option and power to have during those like late game slogfests where you do not have time to actually recharge between these big end game boss fights. I think this is a resource usage elimination that they should introduce for other classes at Apex tier play as well. I think, for example, Summoner, I would love to see this as a class feat rather than a level 20 feat that they have to choose. But let's go back to Quick Bomber. So if you can use it to one action Quick Vial and then throw that vial, isn't that the exact same thing that Abundant Vials is giving a Bomber? If I was strictly reading through, I would make the argument that Quick Bomber says it can only be used to create a bomb, and that a versatile vial is itself not a bomb. It's a vial that can be used as a bomb. A very nitpicky distinction. But if that were the case, then Quick Bomber would always incur spending a versatile vial. And then at level 17, that vial spending would go away, just like with every other alchemist. But I could be wrong. I'm not really sure what rules is written actually is here, and it could be that bombers just get this level 17 class feature starting at level 1. But enough talking about hypotheticals. Let's see this field vial usage in action. So let's go through the bomber first. Let's say Fumbus is a level 1 alchemist that took Far Lobber instead of Quick Bomber. I don't know why he did, but let's say he did. And look, he's surrounded by 3 enemies, each 30 feet away, and that each have a weakness to either fire, electricity, or cold. Can he, within a single turn, proc all of their weaknesses? Striking 3 times in your turn isn't really optimal, but with good enough rolls, he can do this. Since it only takes a single action to throw a versatile vial, and bombers can change the damage type of their vials, he could spend a turn first striking 1 to do fire, a second to do electricity, and a third to do cold damage, and he's procced all of their weaknesses. Now, of course, if he took Quick Bomber, he could just do this with an Alchemist Fire, a Bottled Lightning, and then a Frost Vial, but this is more just about showing that they can still get usage and mileage out of their versatile vials. Let's move on to what I think is a more interesting scenario. Let's say Hero the Chirugeon, and I don't actually know what this character art is for, but I think they look like they could be an awesome Chirugeon. Let's say Hero is in a pickle. His 2 allies are both dying 3 and bleeding, so they'll possibly die in their next turn. And this enemy Frost Troll is at 0 hit points, but no one has removed his regeneration yet, so on its next turn, it's going to get up and also kill them. Can Hero save both of his allies and kill the troll in a single turn? Well, Quick Alchemy won't help him here, as he doesn't have the action economy to get 2 elixirs of life brewed up and administered to both of his allies, and he also doesn't have the ability to go ahead and move up to the troll and do some sort of a coup de grace strike to it, even if he has a weapon that does acid damage. However, field vials are here to save the day. He can take a single action to throw a vial at the frost troll to kill it, with the acid damage disabling his regeneration, and then he can spend his remaining 2 actions to heal each of his allies within 20 feet with the field vial. Might not be a ton of healing, but at least get them stabilized, and on their turn they can go ahead and do something to either get rid of that bleeding or heal themselves even more. And hey, take that, Cleric. 3 action heal is not what you want in this scenario either. Another interesting really goes to show how flexible the healer the Chirugeon can be. So this is a really contrived scenario, but I hope it illustrates what they can get away with. So let's say Dr. Jekyll and Hyde here is being harassed by a goblin with a gun on a drake 15 feet above her. She's trained with a whip, and if she could reach the drake, she could do a trip to ground them. But even with that extra 5 foot of range, she can only reach creatures that are 10 feet above her. What can she do to actually increase her range and reach them? Well, a bendy arm mutagen works, so that increases one's reach by 5 feet, but it also incurs an item penalty to athletics maneuvers that will make most people not want to do something like a trip while under the effects. But for a mutagenist, they could, while under the effects of that bendy arm mutagen, spend a single action to suppress the item penalty to athletics maneuvers, and then boom, now she has a 15-foot reach and can trip and ground that drake and spare us all from the terrors of an aerial goblin with a boom gun. And this can get really absurd at higher levels when mutagenists can start doubling up on mutagens. Imagine a bestial mutagenist with noodle arms just mauling people from across the room while suppressing the damage penalty too. It's really fun. Last example. Let's say Zol of the Empty Hand is assassinating a lich because the orcs of Belkzen are cool like that, and because toxicologists can poison undead that are immune to poison. So let's say he got the drop on this lich and got a successful strike in, poisoning them to get them off guard. And now he's got 2 actions left. What are his options for putting in some serious hurt? Well, 2 actions isn't enough to quick alchemy up another injury poison. He could quick alchemy and then apply, but he wouldn't be able to strike. He could also, just strike again. Let's say he has some sort of like knuckle dagger, and use this 3rd action to throw a field vial, but that last throw is going to have double map on it, which makes it pretty inaccurate. Well, what he can do, since he's a toxicologist, he can use a single action to recoat his weapon with the field vial poison, and then go for a second strike. This lets him add the damage from his field vial without taking the double multiple attack penalty, and it's kind of like using a 2-action power attack, or like a fighter's vicious swing. Anyways, I hope at this point I have you all convinced and excited for using field vials in your alchemists. And just as a final closing argument, I'd like to point out that without this rule, using field vials is so prohibitively bad that I think it's too bad to be true. Chirugeons would always be better off making elixirs. Toxicologists are always better off just quick alchemying up new injury poisons. And I can't imagine a mutagenist would ever want to spend 2 actions to suppress a mutagen when they can do something like regurgitate for a single action to actually just get rid of the mutagen and get some damage out of it instead. And, Paizo put a lot of effort into making these interesting field vials, and I have to assume that they interact with the Alchemist Toolkit in a way that lets us actually have fun with them. Anyways, thank you if you made it this far. Let me know if you enjoyed the video, would like to see more. I have thoughts on maybe some other underappreciated classes like the Investigator and Inventor that I could ramble about. I'll link the slides I used down below as well, and thank you so much.